round table. So today, right here with your boy M. Dot. We got my man T.
Yep. I'm Chad.
And we got the killer over there, Chad. So today's topic is, well, this is going to be an interesting one, guys. We're going to call this Issues in the Car Game in 2021. God, there's so many. There's so many. Who wants to start this one out? Who wants to take the reins on this one?
How many times have we gone to a car event where it just got shut down?
Now, why exactly are these events getting shut down?
So this is where we're gonna start this off. All right.
First off, what do we drive?
So I got a 2008 Corvette Z06, mildly built, and just nothing real special about the car. Just take it, shows, and just hang out.
I got a 2002 Ferrari 360 straight pipe, ECU tune, a couple other things, old school.
11 Camaro SS, about maybe like $5,000 worth of work done to it.
Yeah, so I mean we don't really have anything too crazy. We have just some nice sports cars. I think that one of the biggest issues in car events today is just the excessive revving and just random fucking burnouts in front of other people's stuff. It all goes back to respect. Today in the car events, you got all these young kids that come into the show and they just don't care. So therefore, what happens is they come in there and they rev and they do burnouts and they piss off the surrounding atmosphere, which are people that have to go to work, people with families, the neighbors. Like, they don't realize, because we have this parking lot, you forget that all around the parking lot is a neighborhood. You know what I mean? Like, these people don't like cars the way we do. So the fact that, we might like to hear the way the motor sounds. Well, Paul at home with his daughter that has to wake up at 5 a.m. to go to work, he's probably not feeling the same way. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that's just to basically say what that's about. What do you guys think?
I think revving has always been a part of car culture. You've always had douchebags that have done things like that. Mm-hmm. I feel like now it might be more prominent just because faster cars are more accessible, and since there aren't as many models on the market as compared to like early 2000s and 90s, it's more common. So and on top of that, cars are faster. You get cars with like 300-400 horsepower that are cheap, stock.
That's true, because first of all, let's do this. We got to talk about what we all started out with. I started out with a 1993 Toyota Corolla with a painted blue dash. I shaved the doors with the door handles still inside the Bondo. Euro exhaust, the wing. My boy, he actually made fun of me because I put a giant metal wing on a trunk that was sheet metal. So when I would get on the freeway, it would teeter-totter. So my boy would be behind me. He'd always say, hey, it looks like you're about to take off. Things like that. We had to go through the trials and tribulations of heartache of people making fun of us before we were able to buy something decent. To whereas kids today, well, they got the mommy and daddy money today. And they can go and finance a brand new Challenger or Charger, and you got 500, 600, 700 horsepower right there at your fingertips. You see what I'm saying? And it's like, if you don't understand what it's like to have a piece of shit and then have something nice, then you don't understand why people are getting mad at why you're revving, why you're doing burnout. You don't get it because you were handed something nice right off the bat. And you just don't get why people are pissed. So that's why there's confrontations at these car events now, and there's all these little groups. I mean, it's just the culture's changed, and it's in my opinion, and a lot of times it's changed in a negative way more than a positive.
I'm not trying to go too old school, but like I had a purple Ford Tempo. That was my first car. And Man, I had the original hoopty, man. I was going 100 miles an hour. I had an automatic transmission. I had to drive like a stick shift. I had to let off in between the gears because the transmission couldn't handle it. But like, I grew up watching Fast and the Furious, Mischief, the original street racers. Like, when I was 17, I said I wanted to buy a Ferrari 360.
Yeah.
Like, I come from an era where, like, you with your Z06, you knew you wanted a Z06.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm not getting rid of my Ferrari. You ain't getting rid of your Z06. Yeah. And it's a very different game because back then you were into cars because you were into cars. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, you can create an entire living off of doing burnouts in a Charger.
Yeah.
All you got to do is upload that to YouTube, get some subscribers. So then the car, it becomes a monetary system where being a car owner becomes a business.
That's true. Yeah.
So it's like clout versus passion.
Ooh, say that again.
Clout versus passion.
Clout versus passion.
When you talking to somebody about their car, they don't even know what kind of engine they got.
Yep.
You could show them the engine, they don't even know what they're looking at.
Yep.
And like that's happened so many times over the summer. Just like, in the exotic car community, we've sitting around with some of the baddest cars you can imagine. 800, 900 horsepower cars, and we just staring at them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody wants to take them on the back roads. You start actually having a conversation about the car. It's like you speaking Portuguese or something.
I can attest to that, guys. Beautiful, beautiful event we went to in Ohio, and pretty much some of the nicest exotics around, man. And I was all amped up to do all of this stuff when we got there. I'm like, well, hey, I had my camera out. I'm ready to get video footage, all sorts of crazy stuff. And everybody was in bed by like 8:39. I was just like, all right, guys, so this is what we're doing. Like, the car event, or the car culture now is weird because when he says clout over passion, it's true. Because when we grew up, all of us, whether you're a dig racer, whether you're a roll racer, whether you're a circuit track racer, whether you just like go to car shows and show off and chill, it doesn't matter. We all had a passion for cars to where we respected the car, we respected the power that the car made. If it was the lowrider game and it was adjustable suspension, then we respected the work that it took to build a lowrider. To do a stock floor body drop, to do a full custom frame, to do custom paint jobs. Like, we knew what that took to get there, right? Like, this stuff wasn't just something you could go buy. This was stuff that it took hours and hours. You might have lost your relationship. You lost friendships over this vehicle you're trying to build for a car show. And people just didn't understand. Like, only you understood because it was the passion that you had for it. Until it got done and everybody's like, oh my gosh, this is beautiful. But this was the passion that you had from day one. You saw the vision from day one. Kids today, they don't have that. They just don't have that. They don't understand. They don't. When I say kids, I mean everybody from like 15 to like 20, 25. They just don't get it. They don't get that this to all of us is a passion, and it's not just for social media clout. So they don't get when somebody walks up to them and says, hey, listen, man, don't do a rev and don't do a burnout. You're going to get us all kicked out. They don't get that. They want to talk back. So then when they get smacked in the mouth, then all of a sudden, you're the bad guy. They want to call the police on you. You see what I'm saying? They want to say, oh, well, this guy assaulted me. He hurt me. Nah, you just got put in your place because you were doing stuff that was going to get everybody kicked out. You know what I'm saying? I'm keeping it real. Yeah. I'm just keeping it real. So, that's just my take on it. I'll let these guys get more into it.
I think it's just been a major shift in car culture. Mm-hmm. I don't want to sound like a gatekeeper or an old head, but if you compare car culture now to when we were coming up, it's just different. So when we were coming up, there were different subcultures of car. Well, there were a lot more subcultures of car culture as opposed to now.
Oh, stop right there. His battery died.
All right, so it's been a major shift in car culture. So early 2000s, early 90s, you think about it, there were a lot of different subcultures when it came to car cultures because I can't really speak for the white community, but in black community, there's a lot of different subcultures that were related to specific parts of cars, not the car as a whole. So you had guys who were interested in a body style. You had the bubbles, big bodies. You had guys who were only interested in the rims, donks. You had guys who were only interested in paint jobs, you know what I'm saying, come through with candy paint, yada yada. And you had guys who were primarily interested in the speakers. Now, people, they ain't really worried about that because car manufacturers, they've pretty much, for the most part, they've consolidated. And it seems like now they're focused primarily on speed and power. So you have these faster cars that are generating all this power, you know what I'm saying? And that's the primary focus of the car culture. So you have all of these demographics lumped into one. So you got black people who, of course, Chargers, Challengers. You got white people, exotics, Camaros, Mustangs, all lumped into one. And so you got all of these personalities that is just mashed together. And I mean, that's just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a big part of the reason why there's just so many problems in the car culture now.
Well, just to piggyback, and here's the thing that nobody wants to say it, but we all agree silently. When the Charger and the Challenger came out, it ruined car events. I mean, let's just call it how it is. I mean, listen, and I want to make this clear before I go any further with this. I'm not saying that Chargers and Challengers are not decent cars because they make good power, but it seems like the majority of people that buy them are douchebags. I mean, they're guys that just want to just excessively rev. They want to do burnouts. They want to show you, no matter where you are, whether you're on the freeway, whether you're at a car show, whether you're at the drag strip, no matter where you are, they want to show you that they got the power. They want to tell you that their car is faster than yours. Well, here's the thing that Charger and Challenger guys do not understand. Sometimes it's not about speed. Sometimes it's simply about quality. And the quality of a Ferrari or a quality of a Corvette or a Skyline or something that has been around for a while, that the people that go after those category of cars, they just think a little bit differently than a lot of the guys that buy Chargers and Challengers. I'm not saying that every guy is just ignorant or stupid. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying the majority, they just don't understand is more what it is. That guys that have all these other different types of cars, they just don't want to be associated with them because of how they act. Not because of the car itself, because of how they act. And literally it draws the wrong attention. Because look at every car event. You get all these different other categories of cars, and then you get the Charger and Challenger boys that pull in there and they got their hazards up. Can somebody tell me what riding around with your hazards mean? Somebody please let me know that. What does that mean, driving around with your hazards on? What does that mean? Also, can you tell me what it means when everybody gets together in a line and everybody swerves back and forth? Can we talk about what the hell does that mean? That's the type of stuff that every other car category is looking at, and they're saying, who invited these guys? Because right behind all of that, here comes the cops. They're rolling in right behind it because they're like, oh, well, these guys are going to do some dumb stuff. We don't want them here. So as soon as that stuff starts happening, everybody gets kicked out. They gave the Detroit Slide Boys, everybody that was doing the donut, they gave them a sanctioned spot to do donuts. They've never given us a spot to do street racing or to do car shows. No, they gave them a spot to do donuts. What these guys do? They went out in the intersections and they did it anyway. You guys got it. They agreed to give you guys a spot, and you guys still messed it up for everybody else. Tell me how that's fair to everybody else.
Well, I think one of the things I'm gonna bring up is accessibility. It's never been easier to get a high horsepower car and have no driving skill.
That too.
Like you can, and this is the crazy thing. You go if somebody gives you the keys to a Z06 and you don't know how to drive, you're gonna crash that thing.
Yeah.
You got to know how to drive to have some of these older cars. Like if I give you the keys to my Ferrari, you better know how to drive. There's essentially no traction control.
Yeah.
So if you start, they call it a 360 for a reason. You mess up, you're gonna do a 360. It's a wrap for you. So like the crazy thing is, you go drive some of these 90s and early 2000 cars, Lamborghini Diablos,
whatever they are,
the Z06s,
yep.
shoot, Lotus Esprit.
Even the older Camaros and the Fox body Mustangs, you got to drive that because it'll get away from you if you don't.
To the point where, like, I can't really drive my car and stop and go traffic. The car starts, I'm wanting to overheat. Yeah. It's not built for that. But nowadays, modern Lamborghinis, modern Ferraris, Challengers, all these cars drive like regular cars.
Yeah. They got all the comforts.
They got all the
2021.
So where you don't need to know how to drive. And the hilarious thing is, it started raining. People start wanting to go home. We don't even know how to drive a car in the rain.
Yeah.
You know how many times?
Because I'll never understand why guys are like, oh well, I got drag radios. I got to get out of here. Hey, listen, I had Mickey Thompson's on the vet for a full summer, full drag radio, and literally I was driving home on the freeway doing 70, not anything crazy, just casual driving on the way home, not punching it, stabbing it, and the car drove fine all the way home. People are like, oh well, my car's getting away from me. I can feel the back end sliding out. I'm like, well, what are you doing? Why are you driving? What's happening? You know, it doesn't make any sense at all.
Because they bought the car for the wrong reasons. Mm-hmm. So you bought the car so other people can watch you drive versus you driving.
Yeah.
Because you should, before you take that car out to put it in front of people, you need to be alone figuring out how to drive that car.
Yeah.
Like how many thousands of miles have we spent at speed this summer?
Yeah.
And how many times have we gotten close to losing it in our car, even when it's pouring rain?
Yeah.
Because we love our cars.
Yeah.
And it's the battle between us and the car, not us and social media.
It's
likes.
passion versus clout. I mean, this all sums up to literally passion versus clout.
You know, I to play devil's advocate, I don't place all of the blame on the driver. You have to place some of the blame on the manufacturer because once again, they got rid of all of the models that attracted those subcultures, those car subcultures. And so now these people who were passionate about other types of cars, the old schools and whatnot, they don't have a choice but to pick the next accessible model. Like you never saw people really buying Mustangs like that, Camaros or Vets. Why? They're coupes. They can't fit a lot of people. But now Dodge, they've got a chokehold on the game. They've made
sedans,
all-wheel drive Chargers, Challengers. They got 4-doors, V6s, and they're cheap as all hell. So, you know, you got all these people with accessibility to these cheap, muscle, high-power cars. You know, think about it. Back in the day, people would joke about Mustangs spinning out and crashing into crowds. Mm-hmm. Well, now, it's no longer Mustangs that are spinning out, crashing into crowds. It's Chargers and Challengers. Yeah. Why? Because those bitches are cheap as hell. And they're accessible to anybody. And
you know what's crazy is just, I look at it more than just Chargers and Challengers at this point. Like in the exotic car game, I go to the Ferrari dealership and I don't even know who they're selling to anymore. Really? I've been a Ferrari fan since, like I said, since I was 17. I look at a modern Ferrari and it's like you sold your soul for the pot of gold. Mm-hmm. You got heated seats. You got all these features. Are you supposed to be a race car? Mm-hmm. How are you supposed to be a race car and you'll get your ass ran through by basically everything out there? Have the nerve to sell a $300,000 Roma, which is essentially just a wannabe Aston Martin. And it's like, are we even whipping cars anymore? We line up with a Tesla, we'll get our doors blown off. And Ferrari's supposed to be top notch. So it's like what you were saying. Mm-hmm. I'm a hardcore driver, and there ain't no way I'm buying a modern Ferrari. So it's like, yo, I got my 360, and I don't even know what to get anymore. Because a real driver's car that has that old school feel, there's not a lot of them, especially if you're trying to, you know, do the mid-engine route under $500,000.
And to piggyback on features, and I really want everybody to really pay attention to this. There is a difference between a base model, a mid-grade, and then the top of the line, right? So I'm just gonna do Corvettes because I got one. right? So you got base model Corvettes, you got Z06s, you got Grand Sports and ZR1s. There's a big difference, all right? Look at, I got a Z06. I show much respect to somebody who's driving a ZR1. You know what I mean? Like, I show much respect to a guy that's got a Grand Sport. Guys with base models, I show them respect, but the problem with them is they want that wide body. They want that bigger motor. They want that blower. They want these things, but they just don't understand that they don't have these things. So they'll come in a Corvette and mess it up. Because what do they want to do? They want to show you, hey, I got a Corvette too. So they want to rev and they want to do things like that as well. And it's just like, stop it. Look at, if you're buying a car, and it's the same thing like with the Challengers and Chargers, right? If you want a Hellcat, right, but your bank account only allows you to buy a GT, then drive the GT to work and back home.
Oh, bro.
See, y'all gonna come and be like this. But listen, I'm serious.
Hey,
Buy what you can afford and treat it like what it is. Cause I'm not gonna hop in my Toyota and try to act like it's a Z06. No, I'm gonna drive it like it's my daily driver and I'm just trying to get to work or the grocery store and I'm trying to get back home. You know what I'm saying? Drive what you can afford, because what happens is guys buy some bullshit and then come into a car event and act a fool. So when you say something about it, they say to you, oh, well, maybe that's all he can afford. Don't be an asshole. Well, wait a minute. That's all he can afford. Well, wait a minute. He should be paying attention to what he bought then, because what he bought is not what he wants to drive. So he shouldn't act like that he's driving this when he's not driving that. And that's the problem. How many guys right now out here are stunting in V6 muscle cars? Raise your hand. Because I know it's a bunch of y'all out there. Right? And I'm not talking about the real stuff, Supras and stuff like that. Skylines. No, that's supposed to be big turbo freaking V6 cars. No, I'm talking about guys that buy the big 3 muscle cars in the V6 version and are out here putting exhaust on V6. Have you guys heard the exhaust on a V6? I'm serious.
Oh.
I'm serious, dude. It sounds like your lawnmower with a tune on it. It's terrible. That's what I'm trying to say. It's terrible. And I know you guys right now look at, it's his opinion. No, it is my opinion. It's my opinion that you should save just a little bit longer and buy the V8 version that you know you really want in your soul.
Please put a video clip of your vet right now, right in the clip, so they can hear what a real V8 sounds like. That thing is crazy.
I'm just saying, the car culture is this. And look, you got guys that work really, really hard to buy their dream cars. You got guys that search endlessly to find cars that actually are one-off. And then these guys come to these car events to show what they've worked either really hard for or really hard to find. And then you got all these young kids that come in and just do all sorts of crazy stuff. And I'm just saying, yes, we're always going to have that. You know, you're always going to have a younger generation that just doesn't understand. But I think we can all agree that this generation today has changed the game. If our fathers and our grandfathers said to each other, if we could all pick a generation to just not having the car game, it would be today's generation, because of the fact of most people today just have no respect. They don't have the passion anymore, and it's all about the clout. And that sucks. And I got a lot of respect for young guys that got real nice cars, that know how to drive them. They know how to respect everybody else who's been doing it for a while, and they can come into a car event, kick back, be cool, and just have a good time. Those are the guys you want to be around. But you don't want to be around the guys that pull in with their hazards on. You know what I mean? They got all sorts of lights and stuff flickering all over something and are revving a V6 with an exhaust on it. Who the hell wants to know that guy? Nobody wants to know that guy. Like, I'm just saying, nobody wants to know that guy. You can hate me if you want to, but I'm keeping it real. Like, guys like that mess it up for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, because you can definitely rock one of those V6 Challengers with your T-Mobile check. You can definitely do that. But, like, For instance, like in the exotic car community, like the Ferrari club, a dude can have a little Ferrari and a guy behind him could have a Ferrari 328. But if we're cruising somewhere, we don't pass each other. We don't compete with each other. That's not the way exotics roll. So a lot of times somebody will pull up to a guy in a Ferrari and they'll try to race, and we're not even thinking that.
Because it's not about that.
It's not about it. So if you pull up to me and you want to race me, it makes no sense to me. Because if I wanted to race, I would have went and bought another car because I could obviously afford a different car. I want to win the race of life. That's the way I look at it. And I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying you're wrong. It's just not the sport I'm playing. Like if I'm playing basketball, I'm not playing water polo. We're doing two completely different things. But like on the real though, you pull up to somebody that has like a Ferrari 328 or Testarossa, and you might beat him in a race. Yo, this dude might have a 9,000 square foot house, 70 other cars in the fleet.
He's already won it.
You don't even realize who you're dealing with. Some of the guys that you meet on Woodward driving old school Ferraris or Lamborghinis, those were like ex-CEOs of like Chrysler and shit.
Well, old school anything.
That's
we start talking about old school cars in general. Like they're all worth good amount of money.
Yeah.
So
those old school dudes, especially them old school exotic guys, hey man, they humbled the hell out of me. You'll go see their collection. They got 90 cars in the fleet.
It's like you won the battle, but they've already won the war. like you're excited for that day, but they're excited for like the next week because they're living right.
And it's crazy because if you had a conversation like with a guy like that, he might be able to change your whole life.
Yeah.
You looking at money a completely different way, but you trying to beat him when he would beat you into submission if you just saw a quarter of his checking account.
Like I can respect V6 owners that are humble, that know what they have. Yeah. But it's the guys, like you said, that make all the noise, that just ruin it and give a bad name to V6 owners as a whole. Like I'll even entertain and race a V6 owner that does it in a respectable way. But you know, if traffic is heavy and you're trying to weave in and out, I mean, at that point, it's obviously you're a douchebag and you don't really possess that car knowledge to know what you have versus what you're trying to race.
Because that's another thing. Like literally, guys don't understand that. Okay, so I understand you have a hardcore separation between dig racing and roll racing. And a lot of dig racers, they don't like roll racers. And I get it. I like to roll race. And I already know I'm going to be judged for that. But my thing is, if you are going to roll race, then it's still set up like almost like a quarter-mile run. You line up, 40, 60 roll, and you race to a certain point and stop. The problem is you get out here on the freeway with these guys, and you race. Next thing you know, traffic comes to build up. These cats want to swerve out the lane. They want to keep going. Then they want to turn it into a chase, and then they're flying. And next thing you know, you kill a family, or you kill somebody trying to go to work. And it's like, no, that's not what you do. You wait until the freeway is clear. You wait until people aren't out there with you, and you run quarter mile and stop, and then go back to driving normal, and get off the freeway and go discuss whatever happened. The problem is, this whole snake chase that these guys do, how many times have y'all been on the freeway in your car and a dude in the Challenger or Charger pull up next to you, and you guys, you entertain it. You race him for a second, slow down, and my man stays in it. my man is just in and out of traffic until he's into the wall.
Well, it's like playing pickup basketball, and you got the one guy that's gonna die winning this irrelevant pickup basketball game.
You know who's winning? Collision Shop. That's who's winning. That's who's winning. Hey, Dodge is winning, and Collision Shops are winning.
Telegraph is winning.
These guys crash these cars more than anything I've ever seen. I'm just letting you know. I'm sorry.
And you know, it's crazy. Like I told you, I got a dude that used to be my friend who's serving 20 years in prison. Ferrari owner who raced some guy and the guy crashed, and under the felony murder law, they hit him up too.
Wow.
So
really?
It's like, So depending on what state you're in, if you guys are committing a felony together and somebody dies, you get hit up too. Yeah. So it's like, you know, depending, like that's why you got to be careful who you running with. Because that person might take it to a whole nother level that you ain't ready to go to over a race that don't even really matter. You're trying to prove something that you don't even believe in. You know your car is trash.
Some of these races is like fights. You just gotta pick and choose your battles.
Yeah. That's me on that one, bro.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, it's just, the thing is, you have to do the best you can do when buying the car that you want, right?
Yeah.
So it's just if literally you are in a situation where you can't buy the car you want yet, well then get what you can afford, but drive it to its capabilities. Do what, you know what I'm saying? Do what the car is made to do. Don't try to do what the dream car you want can do. Cause no, you're not there yet. We all had to go up the ladder. You're here. Don't try to be here until you get here. Like, and it's that simple. This is all about respect. At the end of the day, this is all about respect. We're all trying to enjoy the car events together, no matter what it is. And we're all trying not to have everyone in the neighborhood hate us. So at the end of the day, it's like, hey, don't come in there revving like an idiot. Like, yeah, the little 15-year-old, 16-year-old girls might be impressed, but hey, the grown women, they're not going to be that impressed.
And that's the thing. And that's what I meant to touch on too. So the guys with the V6s and whatnot, or these early model Chargers and Challengers, see, what they don't get is these cars that they get that impress basic women, younger women, they don't really impress guys like that. Like, we don't care. Like, we ain't trying to go home with you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
You
not really
revving at the
impressive.
car event's not gonna get us all hard and ready to go. Like, we don't care.
Like, what are you doing?
You should be at the club if that's what you're trying to do.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
Hey,
So at the end of the day, it's just, man, respect the event, respect everybody. It ain't about who's old, who's young, who's got this car, who's got that. It's just whatever car you got, respect it. Pull in like you got some sense, and just chill, have a good time. You don't have to be revving. We all know what's under the hood. You don't have to be revving, because guess what? At the end of the day, there's always somebody faster. No matter how much money you have in your car, there's always somebody faster. If you're in the lowrider game, there's always somebody with a better suspension setup, a better fabrication setup, and a better paint job. Like, there's always somebody with something better. So just enjoy what you have. There's no reason to show off what you don't have. It doesn't make sense.
no matter what you're in. Because like you go to these exotic car events, the dudes that are usually making the most noise are driving Huracans and R8s. But the dude with the F40, F50, or the one of 30 Maseratis, nobody says anything. They don't need to.
That's right.
And at the end of the day, when you're driving something nice, it speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Remember, y'all, clout versus passion. Which one are you?